Do you remember that day I bought too many oranges?
Do you remember I was waiting for you to come home?
Do you remember that night your father wrote us a poem? Do you remember when you decided to be a magician?
Do you remember that lady who used to live next door and used to play radio too loud late at night?
Do you remember that child in a red jumper who wouldn't stop looking at us?
Do you remember the song you wrote for me?
Do you remember when Harry died?
Do you remember the tree at your parents' old house?
Do you remember when we had to throw out that old desk you loved? I think I cried.
Do you remember when I tried to learn the trumpet?
Do you remember that silly fight in Italy?
Do you remember what that fortune teller said?
Do you remember the name of each person you kissed? Do you remember that yellow hat you used to wear? What happened to that?
Do you remember your birth?
Do you remember that party where I pretended to be somebody else?
Do you remember last time we went dancing? Do you remember how to dance?
Do you remember that time we fought at the cabin?
Do you remember what we fought about?
Do you remember the strong wind which almost made me fall?
Do you remember when we met?
Do you remember when we lost our keys?
Do you remember that weird color on the wall?
We never knew where it came from. Do you remember when we moved in?